Welcome to Sleepy Chronicles. Whatever today brought you, the noise, the rush, the things that didn't go the way you wanted, you can set all of that down now. Lie back. Put your headphones in. Let your shoulders drop and your jaw unclench. This is your time, and there is nowhere else you need to be. If you enjoy what we do here, quiet voices, slow history, and the kind of stories that make your eyelids feel heavier with each sentence, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It costs nothing and means quite a lot. And let us know in the comments where in the world you're listening from. We read every single one. Tonight, we're going to ancient China, to the Silk Road, to the moment before a long journey begins. To cold mornings, heavy packs, and a city slowly disappearing behind you. So get comfortable. We'll take it from here. You wake before the city does. The room is dark. The air has that particular chill that only exists in the hour before dawn. Not quite cold enough to see your breath, but cold enough that you pull your coat tighter before your eyes are even fully open. Somewhere outside, a dog barks once and goes quiet. Then silence again. Today is the day. You have known this day was coming for weeks. You have checked your pack so many times you stopped counting. The straps, the buckles, the small pouch of dried figs someone tucked in at the last moment. And yet now that it is here, the morning feels strangely ordinary, as if the world did not get the message. You eat quickly. You don't taste much of it. The gathering point is a wide courtyard near the western gate. When you arrive, it is already alive. Dozens of men moving with purpose, ropes pulled tight over wooden frames, voices calling out in short, clipped instructions. And the camels. You have seen camels before, but not like this. Not this many, not this close. They are enormous and deeply unbothered by everything around them. One turns to look at you with an expression that suggests it has seen 1,000 people just like you and found all of them equally unimpressive. You look away first. You find your place and start helping where you can, holding a rope here, steadying a crate there. No one explains much. You watch and follow. That is when you notice him, standing near the front of the column. An older man, lean, with a face weathered into something almost sculptural, watching the loading with the calm of someone who no longer needs to interfere. His name, you will learn later, is Wei. He notices you noticing him. He walks over and stops in front of you, looks at your hands, then your pack, then your face. He reaches into his coat and places something in your palm, a small piece of jade, pale green, smooth, cool against your skin, no bigger than your thumb. First time on the road, he says. He does not wait for your answer. He turns and walks back toward the front. You close your fingers around the stone. The gates of Chang'an open slowly. The sound is low and resonant, coming from somewhere beneath the ground as much as from the wood and iron itself. The column begins to move. You move with it. For a while, the city is still around you. Walls, rooftops, the smell of smoke and animals, people watching from doorways, a child waving at no one in particular, and then gradually it thins. The noise drops away in layers, first the voices, then the wheels on stone, then even the dogs, until what is left is only the sound of the caravan, rope and footstep, and the slow, rhythmic breath of the camels. You look back. The walls of Chang'an are still visible, smaller now. The morning light catches the top of the gates and makes them look almost gold. When you look back at something you are leaving, does it look different than it did when you were standing inside it? The walls grow smaller. You face forward. Wei is at the front of the column. He does not look back. You reach into your pocket. The jade is still there, cool and smooth. You don't know yet what it means. You don't know what Wei meant by giving it to you. But the road is ahead. The camels are moving, and somehow, without quite deciding to, you are ready. The second morning is harder than the first. Your body made no secret of this. Your shoulders are stiff before you even sit up. Your feet, still inside your boots from the night before, have opinions about yesterday that they would very much like to share. You pull back the flap of the tent, and the cold air hits your face like a quiet reminder that you are not, in fact, at home. Chang'an is gone. You knew this, of course. You watched the walls shrink behind you yesterday. But knowing something and waking up to the proof of it are two different things. Behind you now, there is only flat, open ground, dissolving into a pale horizon. Ahead, more of the same but deeper, wider, more certain of itself. The caravan is already stirring. You lace your boots and get moving. The hours pass slowly, and then all at once. That is the strange thing about walking in open country. time behaves differently out here. There are no landmarks to measure it against. No market stalls, no turning streets, no familiar faces. Just the sky moving overhead, and the camels, and the sound of rope and footstep that has already started to feel like something you have always known. The camels set the pace. There is no negotiating with this. They move at exactly the speed they intend to move, and the rest of the column arranges itself accordingly. After a while, you stop thinking about the distance and start thinking about the next step, and then the one after that. It is, you realize, a surprisingly effective way to travel. The midday rest is short. You find a patch of shade beside a loaded cart and sit. Your legs are grateful. Your back is less so. Wei appears beside you without any particular announcement. He lowers himself to the ground with the ease of someone whose body has long since made its peace with hard travel. And for a moment, he says nothing at all. He looks out at the Gobi the way you might look at an old neighbor, familiar, unhurried. No need to fill the silence. Then he speaks. At night, the desert gets very quiet, he says. Too quiet, some men think. You'll know which one you are by morning. He does not elaborate. He stands, brushes the dust from his coat, and walks back toward the front of the column. You think about asking what he means, but somehow the question already feels answered. Camp that evening is a small and careful thing. Tents in a loose cluster, a fire at the center, the camels folded and resting at the edges like enormous patient stones. Someone passes around a bowl of something hot, grain and dried meat. Simple and good in the way that food always is when you have been moving all day. The fire burns low. Men drift toward their tents. And then it happens, just as Wei said it would. The silence arrives. Not the silence of a quiet room or a street late at night. Something older than that. The fire is nearly out. The wind has stopped completely, and the desert simply holds its breath. No insects, no distant sounds, nothing. You sit with it for a moment. Then you reach into your pocket and take out the jade. It is cold at first, always cold at the start. But after a few moments in your palm, it begins to take on your warmth. And somehow that small exchange feels significant in a way you couldn't quite explain. A stone that remembers heat. A thing that keeps what you give it. Why did Wei give this to you? You still don't know. you haven't asked. Some questions you are beginning to understand are better carried than answered quickly. You lie back. The stars out here are extraordinary, more than you have ever seen, more than you thought there were. They do not flicker so much as breathe. Is there a kind of quiet you have been avoiding? One that, if you let it, might actually be restful. The desert holds its breath. So do you. And somewhere between one thought and the next, the Gobi carries you under. You see it before you believe it. A smudge of green on the horizon, so faint at first that you tell yourself it is a trick of the light, the kind your eyes play when they have been staring at the same pale distance for too many days. But the camels know. Something shifts in the way they move. A little less patience, a little more intention. Dunhuang. The word has been passed along the column in low voices for the last hour. Now it needs no words at all. The city arrives in layers. First the smell water, and something green and alive underneath it. Then the sound of wind moving through actual trees. Then the trees themselves, lining the road in two long rows, their shadows falling across the path like something you had forgotten was possible. You walk into that shade and stop for just a moment. Your feet remember stone before your mind does. The ground beneath you is no longer sand. You look down at it as if checking whether it is real. It is. The caravan slows at the gate. Voices call out from both sides, short questions, shorter answers. The sounds of a place that has done this 10,000 times and knows exactly how it goes. Crates come down from the camels. Ropes are loosened. Men who have not spoken in days suddenly have a great deal to say. You stand in the middle of it and let the city wash over you. The voices alone are extraordinary. You hear languages you cannot name, something fluid and close that might be Sogdian, something else with harder edges, a phrase called out in what you think might be Sanskrit. Dunhuang does not belong to one road. It belongs to all of them. You find an hour, late in the afternoon, to walk. The market is narrow and layered, stalls tucked behind stalls, goods piled in arrangements that look accidental and are almost certainly not. Silk, spices in open bowls, their colors almost violent after so many days of sand. Small figures carved from bone, lamps, mirrors, a man selling something you cannot identify, doing very good business. And then you stop. the edge of a quieter lane, a low table covered in cloth. On it, arranged without particular ceremony, a collection of small stones, pale green, smooth, exactly like yours. The woman behind the table is old, not frail, but settled, the way very old trees look settled. She has the kind of face that has stopped being surprised by anything. She glances at your hand, at the shape your fingers are making around the stone in your pocket, the outline of it visible through the cloth. She says something in a language you don't speak. Then, in careful, deliberate Mandarin, Wei gave you that one. It is not a question. You open your mouth. She is already looking at the next customer. That evening, you find Wei near the edge of camp, watching the last of the light leave the sky. You tell him about the woman, about the table of stones, about what she said. He listens without turning around. Then, almost to himself, Dunhuang remembers everyone who passes through. You know her, you say. I know many people on this road. He finally looks at you. That is what the road is for. He walks away before you can ask anything else. You are beginning to understand that this is simply how Wei operates. He gives you the edge of a thing and trusts you to find the rest. That night, for the first time since Chang'an, you sleep inside. A small room. A bed with actual weight to it. Moonlight coming through a gap in the ceiling in one clean line, moving slowly across the floor as the night turns. You hold the jade in your palm. Ming knew Wei. Wei knows Ming. The stone connects them somehow, connects you to something you haven't been told yet. You don't know the shape of it, but you are starting to think that maybe not knowing the shape of something is not the same as not being part of it. What is it like to be somewhere that remembers you? Even before you've had the chance to leave a mark, the moonlight moves. The stone is warm. You close your eyes, and Dunhuang holds you gently, the way a place does when it has held 1,000 travelers before you and knows exactly how it's done. The road changes on the 4th day out of Dunhuang. You notice it first in the camels. They slow without being told to, not from tiredness, but from something more considered. The ground is rising. Not sharply, not yet, but with a steady insistence that your legs register before your eyes do. The sand is gone. In its place, loose stone and pale scrub grass that bends flat in the wind and springs back when it passes. Ahead, the mountains. You have been watching them for 2 days. long gray line on the horizon that looked painted, too flat to be real. Now they are real. Now they have texture and shadow, and the particular indifference of very large things. Wei walks near the front. He has not spoken much since Dunhuang. None of them have. The road asks for quiet, and the caravan gives it. The pass begins in the early afternoon. The path narrows. The camels move in single file now, each one placing its feet with a care you have not seen before. The drop to the left is not sheer, not yet, but it is enough. You keep your eyes on the path and your hand occasionally on the rock face beside you, not because you need to, but because it is there and it is solid, and that feels important. The wind is different up here. It does not blow so much as lean. A constant, patient pressure that has opinions about which direction you should be moving and makes them known without apology. You concentrate on your feet, one and then the other, stone and then stone. Midway through the pass, the man in front of you stops. Not Wei, a younger man, one you have been near for days without learning his name. He has stopped on a narrow section of path and is looking at the drop to the left with an expression that has moved past caution into something else. You wait. He does not move. You step up beside him carefully, the path just wide enough, and say nothing. You simply stand there on his right side, between him and the open air on the other side of the path, as if you are just resting, as if this is a natural place to pause. After a moment, he exhales. He starts walking again. You follow. He does not look back at you. He does not need to. Wei is waiting at the top, not deliberately, or at least, it does not look deliberate. He is simply there, standing on a flat shelf of rock, looking out at what lies ahead. When you reach him, you see it too. The other side of the pass opens into a wide valley, pale and immense, the afternoon light lying across it in long gold panels. Somewhere far below, a river, a thread of silver, barely visible, moving through the valley floor. The hard part is always the middle, Wei says. He is not looking at you. The beginning has excitement. The end has arrival. The middle is just the middle. You think about the man on the path, about standing beside him without explaining why. Sometimes being in the middle with someone is enough, you say. Wei looks at you then, just for a moment. Something shifts in his face, not quite quite a smile, but related to one. He reaches into his coat. He produces a second piece of jade, smaller than yours, darker green, and holds it out. For the man behind you, he says. When the moment is right, you'll know. You take it. It sits in your left hand. Yours sits in your right. 2 stones, 2 weights, the same temperature. Camp that night is in the shelter of the valley's first rise. The wind cannot reach you here. The fire burns straight up for once, no lean to it, and the warmth it gives is simple and uncomplicated. You look across the fire. The young man, the one from the path, is eating quietly, not looking at anyone. You close your fingers around the second stone. Not yet, but soon. Does it matter sometimes whether the person you helped even knows you helped them? The fire breathes. The valley holds its dark, and the jade in both hands is warm. And you let that be enough for tonight. You smell Samarkand before you see it. Something warm and complex, bread and smoke. And underneath it all something floral that does not belong to any single flower, but to all of them at once. The caravan has been moving since before dawn. Your legs know the rhythm so well now that they continue without instruction, step after step, the way breathing does. And then the city appears, not gradually, the way Dunhuang did. Samarkand arrives all at once. A skyline of domes and minarets, catching the early light, blue tile gleaming against the pale morning sky. You stop walking without deciding to. Beside you, someone exhales. You think it might be you. The gates are enormous, not imposing, generous, as if the city opened its arms long ago and simply never closed them. The caravan passes through in slow procession, and Samarkand receives you the way it has received 10,000 caravans before yours, without ceremony, without fuss, with the quiet competence of a place that has always known what it is. The streets are wide and loud and full of color. Merchants calling out in 6 languages. Children running between legs. The smell of spices so concentrated it is almost visible. After weeks of open desert and mountain silence, the density of it is almost overwhelming. Almost, but your feet no stone now. Your shoulders no weight. The road made something of you that you did not have at the beginning, and you carry it without knowing quite what to call it. You find way in the late afternoon. He is sitting alone in a small courtyard, near the edge of the market district, a place where the noise of the city quiets to a low hum, where a single tree grows in the center and throws a circle of shade across old stone. He looks exactly as he did the first morning in Chang'an. Unhurried, complete, you sit beside him. For a while, neither of you speaks. The tree moves slightly. Somewhere nearby, water is running over stone. Then you reach into your left pocket and take out the second jade, the darker one, the one he gave you in the mountain pass. You have been carrying it since then, waiting. You place it on the stone between you. I didn't find the right moment, you say. For the man on the path, Wei looks at the stone, then at you. You stood beside him, he says, on a narrow road above a long drop without being asked. He pauses. That was the moment. You already gave him what the stone was for. You look at the jade sitting between you. Small, dark green, warm from your pocket. Then what is this one for? Wei picks it up, turns it once in his fingers, sets it back down, but closer to you than to him. To remember that you knew what to do, he says, even when you thought you didn't. That night, you sleep in a room with a high ceiling and a window that looks out over the rooftops of Samarkand. The city does not go entirely quiet. It breathes, shifts, murmurs to itself in a dozen languages. But the sound is soft and distant, like something you are allowed to listen to without being part of. You hold both stones, yours pale and smooth, warm as it always is now. The darker one, smaller, sitting in the curve of your fingers like it has always been there. The road brought you here. The desert taught you silence. The mountains taught you to stand beside someone without needing to explain it. And Wei gave you things he never quite named and trusted you to find out what they were. You did. If you are lying somewhere comfortable right now, in a bed in the dark, with the world at a safe distance, then you have everything you need. You carried something today too. Something the day asked of you, whether you felt ready or not. And you are here. That is not nothing. That is, in fact, quite a lot. If this journey kept you company tonight, we would be glad to keep you company again. A like, a subscribe, it takes a moment, and it means more than you know. We will be here, same quiet voice, same slow history, whenever you need somewhere to rest. The city murmurs. The stones are warm. Your eyes are heavy. And that is exactly right. Good night, sweet dreams. The road will still be there in the morning, but for now, there is only this, and this is enough.